Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so very much for taking time on your busy Saturday. And I know it's a wonderful time to spend time with family. But coming over here shows that you wanted to learn about mental well-being for you and for your loved ones, and we really appreciate that. So my name is Saeed Mohammed. I work here at I work at Georgetown University as well as at Qatar National Library. I work in the research and learning department. If this is the first time for visiting to at the library, we host quite a lot of activities for different age groups, for small kids as well as to elderly people. So we have a wide range of activities for you to look for the programs. So as a host, I'm just going to make some important housekeeping announcements for today. And so for the next 4 hours, if you're going to be here, I really appreciate if you stick to these guidelines. And for everyone, I recommend everyone to keep your mobile phones or any other electronic devices on silent. And if any of the parents here with the small children, we recommend that to take one of the parents can go to the children's library so that we don't disturb the other participants. And if you hear any kind of announcements or if there's a fire, please follow the instructions by one of our facility management guys. And also this program is live stream. I'll put on the code, and if any of your family member wanted to watch this program and if they can't able to make it today here to the library, you can share this code and they can watch it from home. This is YouTube live stream program, and also this program will be available on YouTube after the session is over. And if you have any questions during this one, so we wanted to make it a bit interactive. So if you have any questions, but try to keep it the questions until the end of the session, and our volunteers will walk with mics and so that you can ask your question. Feel free to ask questions in English or Arabic. We have people who can translate into Arabic into English. And if you feel that you don't want to talk in the public, we're going to have some sessions. Our colleagues will talk about it. There will be some kind of a breakout sessions next to this room, and you can talk to our experts once the whole program is over. Okay. So this is the YouTube live streaming. You can just scan this barcode and put this on, share with any of the members. I'm just going to keep it for a few seconds. And you can share with your family members whatever the session is happening now. You can see it directly there. And then I will just hand over to our MC today, and Mr. Ahmad Abdul Hakim. He is a shift coordinator at National Mental Health Helpline, Hamad Medical Corporation. Thank you very much. Enjoy the session.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Dear all, on behalf of MAC, the National Mental Health and Wellbeing Program, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this event. I am Ahmad Abdul Hakim from National Mental Health Helpline, Hamad Medical Corporation, and I'm honored to be the event master of ceremonies today. First of all, we would like to extend our sincere thank you to Qatar National Library for hosting this event. Also, كلنا معك and ConocoPhillips for supporting the National Mental Health and Wellbeing Program, and our key partners, Hamad International Training Center, Ministry of Public Health, and Primary Healthcare Corporation for their ongoing commitment and support. Each year, the world recognizes the World Mental Health Day on 10th of October, and this event is part of our key work to support the well-being of all of us and to promote good mental health for the population of Qatar. This is an important time to stop and think about our well-being, promote positive mental health, and also to support access to mental health when someone needs that. Mr. Ian Tolley, our Chief Executive Officer for Mental Health Services at Hamad Medical Corporation and the National Lead for Mental Health at the Ministry of Public Health, has kindly agreed to start this event with few words about why we need to talk about mental health and how MAC aims to support the well-being of all of us. Welcome, Mr. Ian.
Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. And thank you very much for that warm welcome, and welcome to the Qatar National Library for this event celebrating World Mental Health Week, if not World Mental Health Day. The first thing I want to say is to ask us the question, why should we be talking about mental health and well-being? And why have we established MAAC as a means by which we can do that more? Well, it probably comes as no surprise that mental health and mental health problems, stress and anxiety, depression, and various other manifestations of feelings are on the rise across the world. We don't have to look very far to see the humanitarian crisis that surrounds us. We don't have to look very far to know more about the climate change issues that are concerning us. We've not passed COVID we haven't moved beyond COVID just in the last year. And we've all experienced changes in our lives that we'd never encountered before. I know that there are people who will be online and possibly in the room that are parents. I am also a parent. I'm a parent to 3 women. When I was young, I thought parenting was the hardest job in the world because I found it really challenging to know how to bring up 3 young girls, how to ensure that their education was as fulfilled as it needed to be, and how they could have a start in life that would move them on to university and beyond. And when they were small, a mobile phone was about that size. There was no access to the internet. There was no means by which their kids could just be online, talking with people openly, getting information that hadn't been screened. Today, it would seem that every young person has a phone, has access to the World Wide Web, and has access to information and knowledge that we never knew before. And on that platform, there's information that can be quite disturbing. It might be as simple as things that are happening in our world. It might be as sinister as things that we would not wish children to see. But that causes huge anxiety amongst young people. It causes huge distraction from their day-to-day lives, and it causes a huge distraction from their education. And I imagine the experience of parents is really, really challenging in trying to manage that sort of thing. So within a family unit, when I was young, I found that quite stressful. I imagine within family units today, that is even more stressful. We've found it difficult to talk about and discuss mental health in the past because of the stigma and the taboo that surrounds mental health. And we've always found it easier to talk about physical health rather than mental health. And in the past, there's been very few opportunities for us to open up and explore our feelings and discuss things regarding our psychological well-being, our kids' psychological well-being, our kids' behaviour, our own anxiety. That's changing, and in Qatar it's been changing over the last few years. We've seen a significant shift in public attitudes to mental health and well-being. The programme MAAC is to take mental health and well-being awareness to another level. We want to open up the discussion about the things that we worry about. We want to open up the discussion about mental health generally, and we want to make it much easier for people to seek help when they need it. And MAAC is a concerted effort, as was said, across Hamad Medical Corporation, the Primary Healthcare Corporation, the Hamad International Training Center, and our partners, Kaluna and ConocoPhillips. And that provides a new platform on which we can really build mental health awareness. So today, I hope we've got an opportunity in a very natural setting like the Qatar National Library to normalise discussions about what we feel, what we worry about, what our kids are encountering, and what's happening around the world, and be able to do that in a way that enables us to start to explore our feelings, to start to address some of the anxieties that we may feel, and to open up to one another and to professionals potentially to seek help when that is required. I don't want to be completely pessimistic about what's going on in the world. I want to be really optimistic about this opportunity. It's really critical that we take time to reflect on how we are. We take time to look around us and to explore the feelings of our friends and family. And we take time to promote and advocate for the sort of help that people will need. So I hope today, in the discussions and the presentations that occur, it will give us all the opportunity to reflect. It will give us all the opportunity to perhaps take hold of the message and talk about the importance of talking about mental health. And I hope that on World Mental Health Day next year, on the 10th of October 2024, this room will have twice as many people in it, and as many more people talking about the importance of promoting mental health and well-being. So thank you for taking the time to be here today. I really would value your inputs. The more people can contribute and describe and advise and enable us to learn from your experience, then the better and richer this event will be. So I look forward to the proceedings, and I look forward to the outcomes of the discussions. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Ian, for your insightful words. Mental health and well-being are not only for a specific group or ages. Every human has mental health, and hence, as the theme for this year's World Mental Health Day, mental health is a universal human right. I would therefore like to invite first to the stage Dr. Yahya Al-Bobali, a trained adolescent psychiatry specialist at Hamad Medical Corporation. And also he is the lead for Autism Spectrum Disorder Clinic. And Ms. Iman Osama Al-Homsi, clinical dietitian, graduated from Qatar University, both representing our Hamad Medical Corporation, the child and adolescent mental health services. Welcome, Dr. Yahya and Ms. Iman. This one. Yeah. Slideshow. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you for attending this wonderful event. It's my pleasure being here talking about mental health. And today, I chose the title of the topic, our children's mental health is a priority. Of course, good mental health for children means good mental health for adults and good mental health for the society as a whole. And today I will speak to you about 3 gifts that people, or at least some people, can't have in their lives. The first gift is the gift of being a parent. It's actually a gift. Raising a healthy child is an enormous source of satisfaction, but it's also a great responsibility. And I promise you that mental health and mental well-being for our children is as important as physical health. Some people may think that if I have a child who is physically healthy, healthy heart, healthy lungs, that's what it is to be healthy. And they ignore the aspect of the mental health. But I tell you, mental health is very important. So being a parent is sometimes challenging. And these challenges can affect the mental health of our children. So what we can do as a parent, something that I think it's very easy and very difficult at the same time, is to have a stable family environment. Like most of us, for most of our days, we can have stable time in our homes. But challenges and stressors happen in our lives, and sometimes like the father and the mother or the husband and the wife have their own conflicts and their own problems. And these problems actually can affect our children in a negative way if we are dealing with them in a wrong way. So I'm talking about this because this has great impact on the mental well-being of our children. So if husband and wife have issues, have problems, have arguments, they should keep it away from their children. They should try to solve it by rational dialogue, in calmness, without violence, without yelling, without loud arguments, because these things, in fact, affect the mental health of our children. If the child notices domestic violence, for example, or notices frequent fights between his father and or her father and her mother, this will have impact, actually, either immediately in the young childhood or many years after that. And like one of the most sad consequences of these conflicts is divorce or separation between the parents. And in fact, divorce is a big risk factor for mental health problems in children, either immediately after the separation or even in adolescence or sometimes in adulthood. So it's important to solve our problems as parents in the right way, and as much as we can, sparing our children from our problems. The second point I would like to talk about that is related to parents is trying to understand our children. And one of the most important things is acknowledging the emotions of our children. So it's known that like children have different view of the world than adults. Things that are important to children may not be important to us as adults. For a child, maybe the most important thing in his or in her life is winning a video game, or having a new toy, or playing with their friends. But these things may be not very important or sometimes look silly to us as adults or as parents. But it's important to acknowledge the things that your child likes or dislikes. If your child is happy, be happy with him or her. If your child is sad, be sad. If your child is angry, try to calm him or calm her. Don't ignore that, because ignoring that, or if the child lives in an environment where the emotions are disqualified or not acknowledged or even punished, this is called an invalidating environment. And it's one of the most important risk factors for having, in fact, very challenging and very complex mental health issues during adolescence and adulthood. So we can spare our children that by just acknowledging their emotions. And of course, like the most extreme form of an invalidating environment is having violence, whether verbal or physical violence against our children is absolutely has no space in mental health. We cannot encourage any form of violence, especially hitting our children. It has zero benefit and it has all the risks that come with it. I know like we as parents sometimes have like bad days, we have our own stressors, and we are human beings after all. And sometimes because of this we can get angry if our children like just press our hot buttons, and then maybe we will hit them or like yell at them. And I understand that. But what I mean here is that violence should not be something that happens frequently. It shouldn't be something that we depend on in raising our children. And as like the brilliant pediatrician, Dr. Donald Winnicott said, you don't have to be a perfect parent. What you have to be is a good enough parent. Good enough parent is all what the children need to have good mental health. So, of course, like if you are a parent, you know that there is something that you have to deal with, which is like difficult or challenging behaviors of our children, or tantrums, or yelling, or like breaking things at home, or etc. So the first thing is that to know is that every behavior serves a function. So the child might yell, or might throw a tantrum, or like might do whatever they do, but there's always a purpose for that behavior. And like the most simple way to understand the reason for the behavior of the child is to ask them. And there can be like many reasons for that, but believe me when I say that at the heart, or like deep inside every child who does this kind of behavior is a search for love from the parents. Even if the child does whatever, they deep inside them, they are looking for love, for care, and for warmness from the parents. So things that, some tips that can help us as parents, like to deal with the difficult behaviors of our children. First of all, catching your child doing the good and giving verbal praise. If you want to decrease the chance that your child do negative behaviors, you praise them for good behaviors. For example, saying to them, I really like that you are listening to me. I really like that you are helping your sister doing her homework. I like that you are tidying your room, etc. These things will make the child feel that my parents are listening to me, my parents care about me, my parents actually like trying to help me be a better person. The second thing is that to use the language in a positive way. And like language is very important because like we think through language and we see the world through language. So maybe a minor differences in the way we say things will make huge impact on the child. So for example, instead of saying stop yelling, you can say please use quiet voice, and it makes all the difference. Yeah, for like children who doesn't like to do the things like doing the home chores or like doing their homework, you can like use this tip to use this tip to, for example, use direct and specific language. So instead of saying go and do your homework, say let's do the first math problem, or let's read this one page of the science book, etc. The more you are specific, the more likely the child will comply. Offer your child a choice to give him or her a sense of control. So if your child have two different homeworks, for example, you can say, would you like to start with homework 1 or homework 2? So if the child feels that he has like freedom, also he or she are more likely to comply with your requests. And if the child like start to do like the yelling or the tantrums, because, for example, you're trying to limit their screen time or take the PlayStation away or take the mobile phone away. So how to deal with this situation, which is like very common, especially these days. There's like something called planned ignoring, which is like reduce attention to your child, let the child does whatever they want, and that's it. Like, and be firm. Like if you want to limit the screen time, limit the screen time. If you want to take the PlayStation away, take it away. If you want your child to sleep at 9 o'clock, let them sleep at 9 o'clock. And don't like back away, but be calm, don't be angry, and like let your child express their emotions as long as they want. Even if they cry, for example, for 2 hours, nothing will happen. But at the end, the child will learn that this way of behavior is not the right way, and I can't get what I want if I throw a tantrum or if I yell or like shout or if I hit my siblings. So with time, they will learn that there are better ways to behave. And of course, like being a parent is challenging and it might affect our mental health as well. So, of course, don't forget yourself in the journey of parenthood. So the second gift I would like to talk to you about is the gift of being a teacher or being part of the educational system in general. So teaching, as you know, it has a pivotal role in the society, and teachers, in fact, can foster mental health and prevent negative mental health outcomes. So what can the teacher do to foster mental health? There are like few tips that I can tell you about. First of all, if you are a teacher, encourage your students to speak freely, to ask whatever they want. Be curious with your students, answer their questions or encourage them to search for the answers for these questions, and never just ignore them. Because like doing this or like encouraging the free expression will in fact build better personality, build self-confidence, and build creativity. One of the most important things that like I always encourage parents to discuss with their schools is the importance of playtime, especially in primary education. So for children 11 years old and younger, one of the most important things that they should do in school is to play. And I argue that like at least 30% of their time should be in playtime, whether this is a free playtime or sports or like play as part of teaching them something. Because like play may be at this age the most important factor for creativity. Why do we need like creative children? Of course we need them because we don't just children who repeat what they learn. We want children who are creative, who innovate, who discover things. And that comes when the child is free to play, because playing, Allahu Akbar, because playing is a way of expressing our thoughts. Like, from like another point of view, teachers can detect some signs of mental health problems in students. Because like teachers spend much time with their students, so with time they start to know them and to know their personality, and with time they can detect any changes. So some signs that the teacher can detect, for example, absence from school, of a student start to become absent frequently, neglecting self-care, excessive shyness. Like, for example, like some shyness is normal and some shyness is like abnormal. If it's excessive, if the child or the student cannot talk at all in front of others, or they stutter, or like they sweat or breathe heavily, or like they have their heart pounding, it becomes abnormal. Excessive hyperactivity, frequent anger outbursts, and most importantly, if the student start talking about death wishes or suicide, or they are doing like behaviors to harm themselves, like one of the common things is like doing cutting in their forearms. These are signs that cannot be neglected, and the teacher in this case should either talk to the school counselor or the school psychologist or the parents themselves in order to solve this problem, or like refer it to a specialist if needed. And like something that I cannot stress it enough, schools should take an active stance against bullying. Bullying at schools, whether it's verbal or physical, cannot be tolerated at all because of the grave consequences of bullying on the mental health of students. Students who get bullied get depression, get anxiety, they can be suicidal. So it's very important that schools, so if your child tells you that I am bullied and the school is ignoring that, go to school, talk to the school counselor, talk to the school dean, and like do whatever it takes just to prevent bullying. Of course, it's a responsibility for the parents, for the teachers, and for us as mental health professionals to speak about the negative consequences of bullying. The last gift that I will talk about is like a gift that I personally have, which is the gift of being a child psychiatrist. Like, I have been like a child psychiatrist for the last 4 years, And like, I cannot be rigid when talking about children or when talking to children, because childhood is energy and liveliness. Childhood is change and growth. In children, time is our ally, because like children have their lives ahead. So this gives me hope and optimism that I can help these children get over their problems. So like, of course, children or adolescents can have very wide range of like mental health problems, but they all can lead to certain complications. For example, progressive learning delays, school failure, low self-esteem, impaired relationship with family members, and rejection or neglect by peers. So these are like very real and very serious consequences. That's why we need to act to help children get over their mental health problems. So for those that you don't know what is mental illness, of course here we are talking more about mental well-being and like being healthy, but for me, of course, as a psychiatrist, most of the time I deal with mental illness, so that I will talk a little bit about it. So mental illness is any disorder that negatively affects the child thoughts, emotions, perception, behavior, or development. So it covers like a wide range of abnormalities, and it can have like these mental disorders can have like many different causes, but at the end, mental illnesses understanding mental illnesses require an understanding of the brain structure and functions, because whatever the reason of the mental illness, there must be something, a change or abnormality in certain area in the brain, and usually or most of the time these changes are very subtle. For example, in mental illness we cannot detect any abnormality in MRI or CT scans, for example, but there are abnormalities at the micro level or in the nerve cell levels. So I will not talk a lot about this, just not to bore you. Risk factors of mental illness, like there are like different risk factors. They could be genetic risk factors. There could be like certain biological risk factors like hormonal or like certain structural changes in the brain, environmental risk factors, and we talked about like these risk factors. We said like divorce, we talked about like arguments or like conflicts between the parents, we talked about bullying, we talked about the role of school. So these kind of environments sometimes can lead to or they can be risk factors for mental illness. And lifestyle, like poor diet, poor sleep, substance use, and sedentary lifestyle in general can be like risk factor for mental illness. So our role as mental health professionals when a child is referred to us or when we see a child is like to do an assessment and to diagnose the child. And of course, like with children, we try as much as we can not to use medications, but of course in certain situations we need to. We always like promote like healthy lifestyle, sport, diet, good sleep. These things like help a lot actually in getting over like the mental health problems. For example, there are recent studies that say doing regular physical exercise is equal effectiveness to using antidepressants, for example, in treating depression. Then, of course, like there are like the psychotherapy or the talk therapy that therapists can do to help children or adolescents dealing with their problem. And sometimes, as I said, there is a role for medication to help the children with their problems. There are like wide range of problems that children or adolescents can have, from depression to anxiety to ADHD or autism or like OCD, eating disorders. There are like a lot of disorders, but each one of them needs an assessment, and all of them can be dealt with, and all of them we can like also help children to deal with them with a healthy lifestyle. So that's what I have for today. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yahya. Now, Ms. Iman will continue with some tips for child and adolescent mental health services, and after that we'll take the questions from the audience. الايه؟ لا قولي لي عاوز ايه؟
كان بدي احط النوتس هون. خلص.
خليها سلايد شو؟
كيف حركة السلايدز؟
تحت بس.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, all. Thank you for coming here today to share with us this wonderful event. I'm Iman Al-Hamsi. I am working at Child Adolescent Mental Health Service as a clinical dietitian. So today we will find together how we can improve our mental health and our brain health through our food and diet. Let me start with asking you, how many of you feels knowledgeable about the connection between diet and mental health? Anyone? Okay, great. Okay, how many of you is willing to start to change their diets in order to optimize their mental health? Okay, so let's start together today to discuss these things. Let me start first to define well-being and mental health. So well-being has many definitions, but we can choose, I chose this one because it's easy to understand. So it's a state of being comfortable, healthy, and happy. It's a fundamental of our health and overall happiness. While mental health, as a definition from American Psychological Association, it's mental health, it's a state of mind characterized by emotional well-being, good behavior adjustment, relative freedom from anxiety or disabling symptoms, and the capacity to establish constructive relationships and cope with the ordinary demands of stress and stressful of our life. Okay, so mental health or being mentally well is not only the absence of disease. It's a state of overall well-being. Unfortunately, according to WHO, the World Health Organization, mental health conditions are increasing worldwide. In adolescents globally, we have 1 in 7 between the age of 10 to 19 experience a mental disorder. This is account for 13% of the global burden of the disease for this age. Depression, anxiety, and behavior disorder are among the leading cause of illness and disability among those adolescents. So because of this, it's so important, and we are lucky to have this month to have the chance to be aware about these issues. Maybe some of you may wonder why I'm here, why I'm a dietitian. Actually, mental health services has dietitian here in Qatar. As I told you, I'm working at camps, Child Adolescent Mental Health, and we are a part of the MDT, the multidisciplinary team who is caring about the patients or kids or people that have an aspect of mental disorder. We cover anxiety, bipolar disorder, depression, and schizophrenia. Eating disorder also we have in our facility, like anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder. And we deal with poor dietary intake, picky eating behavior, ADHD, hyperactivity disorder, and also autism. And we are managing the psychiatric medication side effects either by increasing appetite or reducing it. And usually we work also with parents to help them to provide a healthy diet that fits their family lifestyle and ensure normal adolescents' growth and development from the wide range of nutrients and food that keep them physically and mentally healthy. So we every day hear about the effect of our diet on our physical health. And mental health as well is a growing body of research points that mental health benefits from healthy diet. So there is an old saying that we are what we eat, in a meaning that relationship between nutrition and mental health is bidirectional. In another word, what we eat affects our mind, and also our state of mind and mental health affects the type of food that we eat. And especially in kids, they are more vulnerable to these changes. There are foods that are associated with better mind, higher self-esteem, and the resistance of emotional problem in children. So let's start talking about things that we can change in our diet, our healthy lifestyle, to boost our mental health. Number one, we can talk about the most important thing in our central nervous system, our brain. Everyone knows our brain, right? So our brain is a part of central nervous system, and it regulates and controls the functions, emotions, desires, thoughts, and basic things in the body. So this brain, because it do a massive job, it need energy. Like a car need fuel, right? The best fuel, the best car working and function. Okay, so this brain has been found that it uses 20% from all over the energy that we obtain from our foods and drink, used 20% by the brain itself. And a healthy diet feeds the brain, providing nutrients, support positive mood, positive thinking, and improve concentration, and increase the signal inside the brain. So brain connectivity during childhood could be improved through diet. Can I ask you a question? How many of you heard that we have another brain in our body, beside the one well-known? Anyone? Okay, we have some hands. Okay, yes, true. We have another brain in our body. Actually, we have the central enteric nervous system that is located in our gut, and this is called second brain because it has the same cells, nervous cells that we have in our brain, and also it uses the same chemicals, same number of chemicals to do the connection. And this do with, as you see in the picture, there is a bidirectional way, meaning that they are in continuous communication between our brain and our gut. Like a hotline, all the time they are affecting each other. Inside this gut, we have microorganisms called microbiota or microbiome. Microbiota is the environment they live on. Actually, we have this microbiome, which is composed from bacteria, viruses, and fungi, and their genes is located in our gut and located all over our body from outside and from inside. But the most number is located in our gut. And we called it gut microbiome. And having unhealthy gut microbiome lead to certain disease and affect our mental health. Diet considered one of the main drivers and shaping of gut microbiota across the lifetime. So we are born with certain number of microbiota, and our daily living things where our environment and our diet, of course, affect this number. And this will continue us. So we have, from birth until death, we have numbers of microbiota that control our body. So gut microbiota has different jobs inside our body. It's harvesting energy from the digested food. It's protecting against pathogens, so it's a play major role in our immunity. And also it's strengthening the biochemical barrier in the gut and intestine. It plays a crucial role in reducing anxiety, depression, and perception of the stress, and influence food craving and the feelings of being full. So because they are important, we have to know how to improve them or how to take care of them. So we have first something called probiotics. This is the life culture of the bacteria, the good bacteria, we can say in another word. And this is, we can obtain it from fermented food like kefir, yogurt with the live active culture, pickled vegetables, kimchi, miso, and the sauerkraut. All are fermented food. And of course, we are obtaining those good bacteria from food, and we need something to feed them. So if you want to increase the number of them that you have inside your body, you have to have certain care about garlic, onion, leek, asparagus, and dandelion greens, banana, and seaweed. And also it's good in the fiber-rich food like whole grain, like wheat, like oat, like barley. The third thing that we have to care when we are talking about improving our mental health through diet is eating a balanced diet. Children need a healthy, balanced diet containing all food groups, and they have to be range and wide variety of colors, and in order to help them to stay healthy. We need good energy. It's improve their anxiety and depressive symptoms, and also improve their concentration. In order to know what the meaning of balanced diet, Qatar has been published in 2005 through the Supreme Council of Health. They published something called Qatar Dietary Guideline with this sign of shell open like a plate. So this guideline is available in the link below if you want to take a look to it, and it's easy to understand, has a picture and all the needed information. So they divide the food in general to 6 main food groups. Number 1 is vegetables, fruits, cereals and starchy vegetables, legumes, milk and milk alternatives, and dairy products, fish, poultry, meat, and alternatives, number 6. So it says that it's recommended to have all these food groups in our daily consumption, in daily meals. So easiest way to do it is to consider our plate and on the table, for example, and always think to divide it to half. First half for fruits and vegetables, and we have to consider having variety of colors, especially for those kids. So we can discuss with them the colors of vegetables that have in their plates. Fruits and vegetables are attractive because they're colors, and they are relatively low in calories if someone considers maintaining their healthy body weight, and they are rich in fiber and antioxidant to support our microbiome. And the other half should be cut in 2 quarters. Number 1 is the cereals or the grains. And it has been advised for us, grains and cereals, who is not having this clear idea, is about rice, bread, oat, and anything come from grains or cereals. And it has been recommended to have half of this intake daily from whole wheat, from whole wheat products like brown rice, for example, whole wheat bread. We can have legumes also. It has carbohydrates and it has also fibers, and it's a main source of energy actually. According to the American guideline, it's give our body 50% or 50 to 50% of our total energy should be obtained from this group. The other quarter should be from protein. Protein is a very important aspect, and it has building blocks called amino acids, and we need them to even produce our chemical, the nervous chemicals, that the nervous cells chemicals that help us and stabilize our mood, like serotonin, dopamine. We need protein in order to be able to produce them. And it has been recommended to eat variety of protein from plant and animal protein also, like seafood, nuts, beans, and eggs and poultry. And also recommended to have fish at least twice per week, and to take meat in moderation and choose the lean cut. The last one is the dairy product. Usually you put it beside the dish. It recommended to have 2 to 3 daily of skimmed or low-fat milk and milk product or alternatives in case of allergic. Healthy fat also. We have to eat balanced healthy fat every day because brain cells need those essential fatty acids that we cannot do by our own bodies. We have to obtain from food, like omega-3 and omega-6, and it helps the brain to keep working well. Healthy fats is found in egg, in meat, in nuts and seed, and avocado, and oily fish like tuna, sardines, salmon, and etc. Number 4, for those who usually skip meals because of their busy schedule or they don't have time before going to school, so considering mealtime is a very important aspect, because going long time without eating can cause a drop in blood sugar, and this leaves us in feeling tired and irritable. So eating moderate size meals, constant schedule, will maintain our steady blood sugar and result in even mood and happiness. We have also to keep well hydrated. You know that light dehydration affects our mood and concentration and memory. The brain cells need water just like other cells of the body. Some medical researchers found that 75% of the total mass of the brain is composed of water. So very little changes will affect the health of our brain. And dehydration can impact our mental well-being and performance and make it hard to think clearly or focus and cause mental stress. And be careful, not everything liquid is considered as water. We have, for example, pops or carbonated beverage or energy drinks. It has an effect, or coffee and tea, it has a diuretic effect, so it will increase our need of water. So for those people who do not have this habit of drinking water, maybe you can use the water tracker sheets just to follow your water intake, and this make you mindful about how many cups you drink per day. Number 6, the processed food. I'm sure that most of you heard this word, but I like to define it. Processed food is any food that has been altered in some way during preparation. It could be simple, like cutting, freezing, drying, or anything. So not the word processed food, usually it has a bad repetition, but actually not all the processed food is bad. Sometimes we need it for our safety. For example, pasteurizing the milk. We need milk to be pasteurized in order to be safe, free of germs. Sometimes we need it to make them the food suitable for eat, like when we do pressing the seeds to obtain their oils. So it's not only the word processing that we have to take care, but we have to take care from something called ultra-processed food. What are they? They are foods that are going under multiple processing events by adding high fat, high sugar, high salt. Sometimes they add preservatives, coloring to make them attractive and palatable, especially for young age individuals, and some of them is to extend their shelf life. They add artificial colors also. Because why we have to take care about this one? Because they are usually high in sugar and salt and fat, and nutritionally nutrients relatively is low in them. And there has been found through research that having too much ultra-processed in our food affect our brain connection, and it makes us more craving for similar food and make us also difficult. It's make it difficult to us to avoid this food, even if we are aware about the dangers of them, especially in kids. Yeah, they cannot tolerate or accept to avoid them or to be banned from them. And also it affects our ability to feel satiety. They will increase our hunger hormone. So we will end up eating the whole big potato chips, for example. So from the pictures, you can have an idea about those ultra-processed food. Examples: carbonated drinks, artificial juices, snacks like biscuits, chips, chocolate, and lollipops, and ice cream. Besides it changing the chemicals inside our brain, it makes a massive change in our mood and our mental health. So what to do? We cannot avoid them totally, but what we can do to make them in our diet, but without this massive harmful effects, we can start to read the nutrition fact label. You can see this label in most of our food inside the market, especially not the fresh food, the foods on the shelves, for example. And the food nutrition label is nutrition information that help you to choose between products and keep check the amount of food that you are eating or drinking, and we can compare between two products, the fat and sugar and salt intake and energy as well. So when you take a product in the market, it's better to go and see this daily value because it gives you a very quick way to compare. So generally, the daily value defined as the calculation of the percent of nutrients in the products, and mainly based on 2,000 kilocalorie diet per day. And to have a good idea, those 3 points is the director way. So 5% or less is considered low, while 10 to 19 is considered acceptable range, and 20 or more is high. So how can I utilize those numbers for daily use for general public, even our kids? We can help our kids to go to us to the market and to figure out the daily value. Let me give you an example. Here we have the total fat is 12%. So this is, who can tell me? Acceptable range or low or high? Acceptable. So what about the sodium? High, yeah. See, and for example, usually we look for fiber because we are caring about the microbiome inside our intestine. Let me see here. We have fiber here. It's 14%. So this product is acceptable actually. But the sodium is high, so if someone has hypertension or any medical issues, he can judge this food. So see, this is a very, very quick way to judge on food and to make comparison. Number 7 is to keep an eye on your daily caffeine intake. The caffeine is a stimulant substance that's found in coffee, tea, chocolate, cola, and other energy drink, and it gives us a burst of energy, but the problem that it might be also affect your sleep. So we know that sleep is very important for our nervous system to be rest. And we feel anxious. Some people feel anxious and depressed after this high burst of energy, and it will be followed by low energy. And also there is a withdrawal symptoms like feeling irritable or depressed. And as I said, also it has a diuretic effect, means that it increase our urine output. So we have to take care about the dehydration. We have to keep an eye on vitamin level also. There are mood-boosting nutrients like zinc, folate, magnesium, potassium, vitamin C, B vitamins like B vitamins and vitamin D. Vitamin D is called sun vitamins, but sometimes if we have a deficient low value of it, we have to obtain it from fatty fish, eggs, dairy products, and it's used to obtain optimal brain function and mood and critical thinking. Vitamin B group regulates neurotransmitter like happiness hormone, like the serotonin and dopamine, and improve the immune function in our body. Sources of B vitamins is green leafy vegetables, legumes, whole grain. B12 is found in animal protein source like fish, beef, lamb, and poultry, and eggs and milk, and from fortified breakfast cereals. And also we can obtain this information from the food label. The last one is try to share meals with other people. It has been found that it have many benefits in psychological aspects, social and biological. It has a biological benefits, and because it gives a sense of rhythm and regularity in our lives, usually people who is eating with family or friends are less likely to skip their meals, and they feel connection to each other. Even if we are set on a table together, we can have time to discuss and build the relationships between us and family or friend or anyone, and it helps us to eat in a mindful way instead of eating fast or in a go. We are sitting, we are talking, so our relationship also with food will be improved. And we can also share responsibility to build the relationships in the family. We can share the shopping, or we can define arrange the table, or help in preparation or heating the food, or etc. So as a summary, good health describes a condition of optimal well-being. The body and mind operate in harmony. So they are so connected to each other, and both equally important when defining the health journey. Eating well can improve your sense of well-being and mood. Choose the diet that have high in fruits and vegetables, unprocessed grains, and fish, with smaller portion of lean meat and dairy products, and limit those sugary and salty and processed or ultra-processed food. Feeling good comes from diet that has enough healthy choices, carbohydrates at regular time to keep our blood sugar in a constant level, and so eating breakfast is a sensible habit. Improve your mental well-being by making change to your diet, support your physical health too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yahya and Ms. Iman, for your excellent presentations. I would now welcome questions from the audience. And as a reminder, although the presentations are English, questions can be also asked in Arabic. So anyone has questions related to child and adolescent mental health services or related to presentations, feel free to ask. Thank you.
We have a question here. Just a moment.
English, I can ask in English. My question is that kids nowadays are addicted to processed and junk foods. Like, for example, my daughter, she likes a lot of sugary stuff. So how do I inculcate the habit of eating vegetables and fruits to her? I try, but she's influenced by maybe the TV or cartoons, and she wants to eat that kind of stuff. And I also see her that there is some kind of brain fog in her when I'm trying to teach her things, and her physical growth is not up to the mark.
Thank you for your question. Actually, we are, as a parents, we are the leaders inside our homes. So the type of food purchased should be based on healthy aspects. So usually when the child do not find those junk food or those ultra-processed food in their hands, they will not ask for them. I know that they can be a beer effect or from advertisement or walking at street. I understand this well, but it's usually help if it's not instead of the main meal. So if my child is eating a well-balanced meals 3 times per day, it's okay to give him a piece of chocolate or donut or ice cream, no matters. But it should not replace the nutritive meals. And being a model, like a parent, if we are a model, usually our children يعني follow us by doing the same as we do. So this is one option also. We can sit with the kids and let them purchase the fruits and vegetables, go to the market with us, observe the color, having a story around them sometimes will be much benefits for that. And as I told the ultra-processed food problem that they have addiction way because they affect our reward system inside the brain. So we can cut it gradually without being harsh to them. We can understand they are kids and attractive to those food, but it should not replace the nutritious food.
What about dairy? Should we give them cow's milk or alternative dairy like almond milk or soya milk for kids like 5 to 6 years old?
Yeah. According to the knowledge and research, if there is no allergic reaction toward the cow milk, so no matter to use it. But if the child show allergic reaction, body abdominal pain, gases, uncomfortable, we can try another kind of alternatives dietary intake, and they are all fortified with vitamin D and all essential nutrients, so they are acceptable from the nutritional aspect. Okay, thank you.
Hello. I know it is usually told that through daily life you're supposed to have a certain number of balanced meals throughout each day-to-day life. But my question is, if you tried to focus on one balanced meal per day, like it had all the food groups, it had everything that you need, because like you said, sometimes our lives get busy and we don't always have time to have frequent meals that are all balanced. And yeah, that's my question. Is it okay if the frequency of these balanced meals aren't really
Yeah, you mean that instead of multiple balanced meal, you will have one per day?
One balanced meal, yeah.
Okay, so then we will go to the aspect of blood sugar. When we eat, usually our blood sugar is increased. So when you stop eating or fasting, it will go gradually down until the next meal to be up. So if I eat only one meal, so I will end up with a deep decline in the blood sugar. That means that I will be irritable. There is a cortisol hormone also secreted from body, so it's called stress hormone. So I will not feel in a good or even mood. So better to be multiple meals. If it's not completed with the whole 6 group, at least you have obtained 3 main groups, and this will be fine. You can substitute then or compensate with next meal or snack or something like that.
So would you say you prefer frequency over quantity, or?
This is depend on individualized. We cannot say something for all. It should be tailored to your needs. If you have a healthy body weight, underweight or overweight, according to your stress level in life, about energy level that if you are athletic, if you do a daily movement or sedentary lifestyle. So we cannot have a general rule, but we always say that don't go too much long time without food. It could be food, it could be fruit juice, natural fruit juice, milkshake, or anything that you energize your body in.
Okay, one last thing. What would you recommend for a person who has very low energy levels throughout the day?
So I can assume that they do not obtain energy from food, because as a people, we obtain energy only through our mouth from food and drink. So first we have to look how much energy I'm taking, and also good food, good type of food also improve. If I'm having too much fat or sugar, it will be reflect on my energy level for sure.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's from the right side. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. So my question is regarding some of us who have exceeded the limit of a healthy lifestyle in past, and now trying to correct ourselves through maybe exercises and intermittent fasting and all. So how do I include a basic idea with having intermittent fasting inculcated and having a balanced diet? So any ideas regarding that?
Sorry, intermittent fasting or?
Intermittent fasting, including some healthy diets. So, like, how can I mix both so that I don't have the problem of blood sugars going down or something like that?
Yeah, you can concentrate on building healthy plates, like we show here in the picture. So it's not really complicated. Maybe through talking you will feel that it's a massive job to do, but actually it's very simple. And if you try to read, I advise you to go to the link here also for Qatar Dietary Guideline. It helps you to have an idea about balanced meal in a detailed way and easy way to understand. But usually we say that start with a small goal. So every week you have your goal. Like, for example, I'm not the type of food from person that eats fruits. So I will put the goal for this week to add 2 fruits in my daily habits. And then in a gradual way, every week I will add 1 small goal. So don't underestimate small changes. All are counted. No need to be perfect from the first time. No one is perfect. We need to be gradually obtaining the changes. Okay, and always seek for food that you like. Don't push yourself to eat something that you don't like. We have a wide variety from fruits, vegetables. I can't count them. It's multiple ways to obtain fruits and vegetables. It could be squeezed, it could be juices, dried, fresh, cooked, anything you would like to eat. Start with it, and then you will build healthy habits gradually.
Thank you.
Hello, this is a question for the child. Are you a child psychiatrist, sir? Yeah, so the question is, sometimes a child's behavior is genetic. It means, like, some people behave, the child would behave, if the parent has got a genetically some problem, depression or something like that, it may be carried over to the child, and the child cannot be blamed for that and the behaviors. So what is the best thing to do in that case? Of course, we can ask him to have a lot of physical activity. We can enforce all these things, but there is something inherently genetic which we cannot change. We can only alter it. We can do as best as we can. So is it a lifetime thing, and it gets carried over generation to generation?
Yeah. So, like, the good news is that there's no mental illness that's 100% genetic or inherited. Like, the overall aspect of mental illnesses is that they are there is some percentage of inheritance or genetics involved, and other percentage related to the environment or the environmental risk factors. So if a child has genetic risk factors because, for example, parents or other family members have certain mental illness, we can focus a lot about altering the environment and make it more healthy. And to reduce the risk factors that are related to the environment. For example, surrounding the child with love, with care, with warmness, reducing the marital conflicts, reducing any incidents of school problems, bullying, relationship problems. And of course, as you said, that it's totally right, and promoting healthy lifestyles to the children can reduce the chance of having mental illness. Because it's not destiny, or it's not something that need to happen if the parents or any family member has mental illness. The child can have a different path.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Shadma Khan, and I'm the mother of 5 kids. So when my daughter is gluten allergy, I'm facing so much problem. So I'm facing so much problem for her. I'm trying my best for gluten, reduce gluten in her diet. Doctor told me about her. Don't, even one drop of gluten did not go her tummy. It's big, very big problems. So, Alhamdulillah, now reports is very good, and I am trying my best, and I am suggesting the people. This is very difficult for me to handle the situation of my daughter, because all over the eating the food and everything. And Alhamdulillah, I am trying my best. My husband is very supporting me. So she is also now thinking about that. Before she is not thinking. She have one surgery, the bioscopy. So very dangerous day of my life. She is not coming out, and she's just slept. And the 8-9 doctors is helping. Very good. Sidra Hospital is giving me the best for my daughter. And Alhamdulillah, they are very good services, and the pediatric is very good. They always I am following the diet and all. So I am just asking, little bit emotional, sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. Thank you for sharing your
So,
experience.
and the mental health also, when my daughter facing so much problem in school. So I changed the behavior, and my husband, we are hugging, kissing, and we are giving the best and diet, and grades also going down, but now Alhamdulillah very up because of family is strong. We are giving the best because this session is very good for me. Out of sudden I came to the library, and I'm very happy to join this session. And I'm just telling the people and all over this family, giving the child is very, if grade is coming low or anything else and happen in the school, so lazim take the actions. And the giving, Alhamdulillah, I changed my kids' diet. So diet changed, so her mind and the full day activities is changed. They are good sleeping now. I just stop the chips, sometime only outside, and the outside juice. And I am keeping the apples and all in the expo. When I am traveling the outside, so I am keeping fruits, nuts. So when they are hungry, they are eating this. Before I am keeping the chips and all and biscuits, they are eating. But now I completely finish. And one day only I am giving one real and go, you can buy, and they are happy. And then I keeping the all fruits keep in the table, and when came back to the home playing, and then I eat apple, bananas, everything. So I am just, this is my experience to share the people, and Alhamdulillah, now I am very strong. I am facing 3 years for my daughter Sarish Khan. She is 7 years old, and the best medicine the Sidra Hospital is giving me. Really, I am appreciate the King. There is the best services, best medical. So Alhamdulillah, I am forget the thing what I am asking, but I just emotion. So the best session for me today.
Yeah,
and I'm just telling the people, please, just 1 week only give the 1 real or 2 real to kids that you can buy things. Otherwise, don't keep the sugary things and lollipops. Everything before I am keeping because I have many kids. But Alhamdulillah, now I am keeping the fruits, nuts, peanuts, everything on the table and in front of them. They came back, and I choose the compound also. Because compound is the best for kids to playing, cycling, riding, and the football. Before I am in building, I am facing so much problem. It's for depression of my kids because they are always in the building. So I am telling the people, if something happening in the home, first choose the compound. There is swimming, football, everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Too much.
Thank you for sharing the experience. Of course, being a parent itself is a challenging process, and when you have a child with specific dietary needs, of course it's more challenging because we all know children like to eat many things, and if there are restrictions it will be very difficult. But obviously you are doing a very good job. So, and what can I advise is that maybe also involve like other family members in helping you, like your husband, like if you have a family here, like just to help you, to support you, because also like, your health and your mental health is important, like, and you need to be healthy in order like to keep supporting your kid. I don't know if you have anything to say.
You have been mentioned some things that you do to improve the diet, and all what you did is very good, and you see how it's impact their concentration, their energy level. So it's a positive thing that you do, and thank you very much for sharing this, just to encourage other parents to take the lead and to start to change their kids' habits. Yeah.
Thank you.
So my question.
Okay, thank you so much. We will have also our outside. We'll have our staff who are also there for discussion. If anyone has any want to discuss about mental health or has any inquiries. Okay, we will have 2 more questions, please.
So my question is, in your opinion, or has research shown that a certain dietary change or a behavioral change has the biggest impact? So like, where can we start? Our first step that would have the biggest impact on our mental wellness.
I could, thank you for your question. I could advise in starting first to do a constant meal time. This is a very important. Breakfast is a very sensible habit. We can also start from balanced meal. As we said, it's the easiest, the direct way to change. And you will see the changes through 2 to 3 weeks from changing the diet. The behavior and the energy level will be improved. So in this way, for certain diets, it's not there because everyone is a different story. Every child is different than other. The needs is different from each other. So it's better to be tailored to the patient, the kid's need, or the parents' need, or the lifestyle, but always inside the border of a healthy, balanced meal. This is what can I advise.
طيب السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أنا حسأل بالعربي تمام؟ وممكن تجاوب بالإنجليزي بعدين ما في مشكلة. عاصم عوض الله حسن، مرشد نفسي طلابي. وسؤالي الدكتور رحية، في البداية أشكر دكتور يحيى والدكتورة على السيشن الجميل جدا اللي استفدنا منه. عندكم علم بالأحداث في السودان والحرب الحاصلة وإلى آخره، فواجهتنا مشاكل كثيرة جدا بخصوص اضطراب ما بعد الصدمة المتعلق بخصوص الحرب والمشاهد، والأطفال بقى بيجيهم نوع من التبول اللا إرادي والكوابيس فعانينا في علاج الحاجة دي. فيا ريت تدينا بعض النصائح في التعامل مع اضطراب الصدمة خصوصا للأطفال. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا يعني على السؤال. طبعا اضطراب ما بعد الصدمة هو يعني حدث مؤسف دائما يعني في حياة الناس، ولكن بيكون أكثر أسفا في حياة الأطفال. يعني أنت تحدثت عن الأحداث المؤسفة في السودان وكيف أثرت على الأطفال. طبعا اضطراب ما بعد الصدمة يأتي عندما يكون هناك حدث يشكل خطر على الحياة بشكل كبير، وخصوصا يعني مثل أحداث الحرب، وتشمل أعراضه طبعا القلق، الخوف، الكوابيس. أن تكون دائما يعني الطفل أو يعني الشخص المصاب يكون دائما عنده يعني نسبة هلع عالية، صعوبة النوم، فقدان الشهية، أحيانا الاكتئاب. كل هذه يعني الأعراض تكون مصاحبة لاضطراب ما بعد الصدمة. طبعا اضطراب ما بعد الصدمة هو حقيقة من الحالات النفسية التي يصعب علاجها، يعني هي ويعني دائما وغالبا ما تحتاج أخصائي نفسي وطبيب نفسي للعلاج. قد لا يكفي الدعم العادي. طبعا أكيد الدعم الأسري، الدعم التربوي للطلاب في المدارس مهم، ولكن اضطراب ما بعد الصدمة يعتبر يعني حالة معقدة نوعا ما وتحتاج تدخل أخصائي نفسي، لأن لها يعني طرق معينة في العلاج النفسي. لابد أن يكون الأخصائي متدرب حتى على هذه الطرق حتى يتمكن من علاج الشخص أو من علاج الطفل المصاب، وأحيانا قد يكون هناك حاجة لاستخدام الأدوية. طبعا العملية العلاجية للاضطراب ما بعد الصدمة قد تأخذ يعني وقتا طويلا، ليست مثل اضطرابات أبسط مثل اضطرابات القلق أو حتى الاكتئاب، قد تأخذ وقتا، ولكن يعني في النهاية يعني لفعل ما يمكننا فعله لابد أن الطفل أن يراه أخصائي نفسي وطبيب نفسي كخطوة أولى، ومن ثم تبدأ يعني الرحلة العلاجية.
One more last question. Yeah, please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أولا بشكر مكتبة قطر ومؤسسة حمد على هذه الأمسية المفيدة. حابة أسأل دكتور يحيى عن التنمر خاصة. يا ريت لو تعطيني نصائح عندما يرجع ابني للبيت حصل تنمر من زميله، فكيف أحتويه وكيف أنصحه يتعامل مع زملاء اللي بيتنمروا عليه؟ شكرا.
شكرا. يعني أنا كما أكدت في حديثي يعني موضوع التنمر من أهم المؤثرات السلبية على الصحة النفسية للأطفال، فبالتالي لابد أن يؤخذ بشكل جدي. يعني دورك كوالدة طفل يعاني من التنمر أولا أنه أن يؤخذ الموضوع بشكل جدي وعدم إهماله أبدا. يعني ممكن بعض الأهالي إذا ابنهم حكى لهم أنه أنا تعرضت للتنمر ممكن أنه لا يأخذ الموضوع بشكل جدي. فأول خطوة أخذ الموضوع بشكل جدي، الاستماع للطفل وطبعا الاهتمام بالمشاعر المرافقة للتنمر، لأن التنمر يؤدي خصوصا إلى مشاعر حزن، مشاعر غضب. لابد من احتواء الطفل وإعطائه مساحة كافية للتعبير عن نفسه عندما يتحدث عن تجربته، وأن نعده أن سوف نقدم المساعدة. هذه خطوة أولى. الخطوة الثانية هي فعلا تقديم المساعدة من خلال أولا دور ولي الأمر بالتواصل مع المدرسة وإخبارهم بما حدث، لأنه يعني قد يكون أحيانا الطفل فعلا قد تعرض للتنمر، قد يكون الحدث يعني كما نقله الطفل مختلف عما حدث في الحقيقة، فلا بد يعني طبعا من جعل المدرسة يعني على دراية بما حدث. ودورك كأم كما ما يمكن أن تقدميه لطفلتك أنه أن يعني لا تسكت على التنمر، ودورها كطالبة أن تقوم بخطوة أولى بالشكوى للمعلمة أو للأخصائي النفسي أو للأخصائية النفسية أو للأخصائية الاجتماعية الموجودة في المدرسة. وإذا لم يتم حل الأمر أنت تقومين بدورك في التواصل مع المدرسة. وإذا أحيانا لم يتم حل الأمر، وأنا يعني أستقبل حالات لا يتم حل الأمر من خلال المدرسة، أنصحهم بالرجوع إلى وزارة التربية والتعليم، لأنها دائما تقدم المطلوب في هذه الحالات.
شكرا.
Thank you, Dr. Yahya and Ms. Iman, and thank you for the questions. This ends part one of our event today, and we will continue with well-being for working life at 4 p.m. And how you can get help. It's an important question for anyone asking for help, support. So we have the free National Mental Health Helpline, 16,000, and you can choose number 4. There will be a variety of mental health professional who will answer your call, who will answer the inquiries. So if anyone maybe has any question about mental health, about the well-being, he can free call the National Mental Health Helpline. And as a reminder, we have outside the staff from Mental Health Services, Hamad Medical Corporation, who are happy to help if there is any discussion or any question. Yeah, and they can give also some well-being tips. Thank you so much. We will meet you at 4 p.m. Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to inform you again, we have YouTube live streaming program. Like if any of your family member want to hear what we are discussing today for the adults on mental well-being, please share this barcode with them. Let me just put it on the full screen so that they can watch it from their home as well. Okay, so we're gonna start the session in 5 minutes. But in the meantime, like you can just share this YouTube live streaming with your family and friends who like to hear about it. Okay?
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the part 2 of our event. I would like to take this opportunity to invite to the stage Ms. Kaja Warwick-Smith, the Assistant Executive Director of Clinical Service Development from Hamad Medical Corporation, Mental Health Services, who will give us some important reminders on well-being and how to balance the demands of the daily life. Following Ms. Kaja's presentation, I would like to ask Dr. Amin Abdu to join her to moderate the questions and answer session. Welcome, Ms. Kaja. Slideshow.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Hamad, for the introductions. I am very happy to be here today to talk about your well-being as well as it relates to me as well. So thank you very much to all of our partners in supporting this event to go forward. Now, as noted, we started off this event with issues around children, adolescents, families. And now I'd like to draw your attention to your well-being. We may be mothers, brothers, sisters, whatever we may be, but if we don't look after ourselves, we can't look after anyone else. So I am hoping to stop all of us today, me included, I'm a very bad workaholic, to stop and think about our well-being and what could those actions be to make sure we are looking after ourselves. So by the time I finish today, I hope you to appreciate the difference between positive stress and negative stress. I want you to go away with a toolkit. What's happening with the sound? Is it me? Am I too loud? With a toolkit on things you can do. Encourage your friends and family and colleagues to do to look after their well-being. And the final bit is around, well, if anyone needs help, where can they find that easy way to support? Now, those who attended the first session heard about the terminology already, but I just want to mention a couple of things here. Now, stress is absolutely natural and normal reaction to the demands that comes our way. Life throws things at us all the time, all sorts of challenges, demands, and so on. And stress is our psychological and physical reaction to that. I will talk plenty about this reaction in a bit. But when we think about the state of well-being, Ms. Iman said earlier, it is not just absence of illness, and that is absolutely true. But I want to remind you that it also doesn't mean absence of stress. I don't think anyone ever has a moment when there's zero stress, And if they have that moment, they are bored, they're not motivated, they're not achieving anything, that is not a state of well-being. And that's why I always remind people that there is such a thing as positive stress, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but it's quite important. We can spend our life waiting for that moment with no stress, only to be disappointed when we have very little stress. So just want to draw your attention to that. Now let's talk about this positive stress, and I often use this example. So you're at your graduation party, there's 300 or 700 people in the room, you're wobbling on your high heels, ladies, thinking you have to walk to the front, take your certificate, be there for the photos. You have all these butterflies in your stomach. The cheeks are all red, you're all shaped up for this task. But you feel, I can cope with this. It's exciting, it's short term. Yes, it's a demand, but the bottom line is, I can cope with this. Now the reaction in your body is the stress reaction. That is what makes us think faster, feel stronger, all sorts of things happen in there. And this is good. This helps us perform, it makes us really honestly think faster, all sorts of things. But the problems begin when those butterflies in the stomach turn into a punch. It's no longer pleasant. We no longer feel, I can cope with this. It's exceeding whatever resources we have to manage those demands. And when this type of negative stress is prolonged, those problems I'm going to talk about in a minute, this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about the positive stress causing those problems. It's this negative stress that feels too overwhelming. It feels too much to manage. And I really, really want to remind you guys that stress rarely happens like this. Let me use myself as an example for let's say my child is sick. I can't sleep, I'm worried, worked up about it. Well, I go to work because I have to, but I'm so distracted because, well, he didn't sleep well last night. How high is the fever now? Is he feeling better? I'm distracted, worrying about my child. Well, then I make a mistake at work. And now the boss is on my case. Yeah? Well, I get more anxious, more worried, starting to avoid anything at work because I'm too scared I'll make another mistake. Well, on top of all of this, you can see how my stress is building up. On top of this, I'm driving home, my car breaks down. I have no money to fix it. What am I going to do? How am I going to get to work? How am I going to get the children to their hobbies? Now my stress has already tipped over. And this is life, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it? We all see these things that happen all the time. So our stress is building up, building up, building up. And what I'm going to say endless times actually in this next hour, nobody needs to get to that red zone on this stress curve. We can intervene in any point as the stress is building up, but it will never just happen. It is things that we do. Well-being is a set of conscious actions. Now let me talk a little bit about this stress curve. On the green side, that's the no stress state. We're couch potatoes. Just lying on the couch, not really motivated to do anything, not really achieving anything, not really interested in anything. That is not a state of well-being. But as things happen, there are demands on us, our stress starts building up. And all the way to the top of that curve, all that is positive stress. And it's actually at the top there where we have our optimal best performance. It's okay to go up there as many times a day as we need to. What is really important is, and the term I use, is to zero in, regularly do actions that bring us towards that green side. Because we talk about accumulative stress. You know, things happen all the time, throughout the day, throughout the week, and so on and so on. Don't let it just build up. Use proactive strategies, conscious strategies throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the year, in making sure you bring those stress levels down on a regular basis. And that's going to be one of the key things that we will talk about today in this presentation. Now, the red side is that de-stress, that negative stress, feeling fatigued, overwhelmed, anxious, irritable. And the final part there is that dreaded burnout. Nobody needs to get there. There are so many things we can do, but as said, well-being is a set of conscious actions. Now, the term for the stress reaction that happens in our body, we call it flight or fight. And you know, human beings are amazing. This is built-in system to support us and protect us when things get difficult. But just to point out that we have hundreds of different stress hormones flooding the body when we have this completely natural reaction. And when I talk about the physical impacts of the negative stress, it refers to all these issues that the hormones are doing in our bodies. But I want to remind you, and I think Mr. Ian kind of beautifully said when we started this event, about how different the world is nowadays, how connected we are all the time. You know, this stress reaction, we easily think, well, sure, you have it when is that a leopard or what is it, is racing at you. People don't realize that this online connective existence that we have, these psychological or emotional issues cause just the same reactions in us. And we really do need to appreciate that. Now, the text is quite small, but I want to draw your attention to the yellow dots. I'm going to talk a little bit about the different impacts, but as you can see, the stress reaction affects pretty much every major organ in our bodies. It will make your heart beat faster, your blood pressure shoots up a bit. It will inhibit your insulin production. It makes you stronger. I mean, we're just all ready to fight or flight now. Now, if you think about these dots and you think about your body being in this arousal state all the time, let's take your heart. Your heart beats faster, blood pressure goes up. This is the stress reaction. Well, what happens if that continues too often, too long? You're going to have a cardiac event, huh? It is a very logical impact of constant arousal of your system. Well, think about your pancreas. Like I said, your insulin is being produced, is inhibited to make sure that you're stronger and so on. If that carries for too long, what's going to happen? You run a risk of diabetes, and so on and so on. So really, we should never think human beings as either physical or mental, we truly are complete packages. And that's important to remember, because when we think about our psychological well-being, it actually directly affects also our physical well-being. So let's think a little bit about, well, what does it mean to be stressed? And like I said, I am referring here to those higher levels of negative stress that can feel very overwhelming. Now, if you are feeling overwhelmed, you're really concerned or feeling that it's really difficult to cope with what's going on, your concentration will be affected. And as your concentration is affected, you can't quite memorize things as you've normally done. You start to hesitate in your decision making because you have a little bit of problems processing everything that's going on. It could be that you start seeing things from a very negative perspective, because if your cup is full already, how can you take more on? So anything coming your way, no, I can't cope with this, it won't work, I can't deal with this. It's very understandable, isn't it? It could be about constant worrying or anxious, racing thoughts that, for example, stop you from getting to sleep in the evening. Now, if you think about the impacts of all of that on your mood, some people get very anxious, some people get very restless, some people may feel very sad or depressed. But again, if you think about that cup already being full, because we haven't zeroed in and brought down those stress levels, it's difficult to be motivated. It's difficult to keep going and wanting to achieve things, because we're already struggling with the load on us. And some people get very snappy and angry, and then when they react that way, it makes them feel guilty about reacting that way, which again has more impact on their well-being. Now, if we think about the behaviors then, because stress affects us, of course, so holistically, we are truly unique as individuals. Some people start overeating, comfort eating. We know from studies that the cravings for sugary and greasy things happen as we're feeling stressed. Some people may feel really anxious and nauseous that they can't eat anything at all, and it's literally, I know I have to eat, hence I force myself, but I really don't enjoy it. Some people, like I said, can get very irritable, reacting very emotionally and angrily to situations where they normally wouldn't do that. Some people may start using more substances, whatever those substances may be, including, if you think about your body being really tense with those stress hormones, painkillers, constant use of painkillers, can then turn out to be a really big problem. Now, one of the really, really challenging things, if you think about feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, anxious, it actually causes us to exercise less, when that is one of the really important things that could help in that situation. But it's a bit like, my cup is full, I am so fatigued and irritable and worked up. What? Now you want me to exercise? It's understandable that we may feel it's really difficult. Some people may develop all sorts of nervous habits, whether it's chewing their nails or pulling their hair or doing something else. And it could, like I gave you that example of what was going on when the child was sick and then there was a mistake at work. We start doing, or may start doing, avoidance behaviors. because we are so affected by those stress levels, neglecting our responsibilities, not addressing things like we normally would have done. So important things to recognize. So those are just examples on how stress affects us from so many different perspectives. So I want to talk a little bit about what causes stress. And we talk about two different types of stressors. We talk about external stressors and internal ones. And quite often those external ones we recognize quite easily. Major life changes, let's say you're moving countries, starting a new career, all these things, we need to appreciate that it puts a demand on us. There's a level of uncertainty, a level of anticipation and excitement, but also they are big changes. Work and school, the exams, the deadlines, all sorts of things that we have to face at work. Relationships, when there's human beings, there are always things going on in our relationships. Money, nobody needs to be rich, but we need to have the ability to meet the basic demands. And of course, if we are supporting others around us, struggling with that can be a huge stressor. Being too busy is something that can really cause a stress, not having enough time to stop and bring those stress levels down. And you know, children and family, I always say I absolutely love my children, but they drive me crazy sometimes. It's okay to feel that way. I hope it doesn't make me a bad mother. But the key point, of course, is that when we feel stressed, we need to recognize it and then manage that. So these type of stressors we quite easily appreciate and recognize. But what we often forget is this other set of stressors, those internal ones. And I always say to people, there's no right or wrong, better or worse. We are all different. Now, some people have a pessimistic approach more naturally. It's going to be difficult. I wonder if it's going to work out. And some people are very optimistic. The sky is the limit. Again, there's no right or wrong. I am way over optimistic and I'm constantly in trouble with it because I think anything's possible. And sometimes things get really challenging. Ability to accept uncertainty. I think when we reflect back to our inside world, I think COVID very much that time highlighted, you know, how well can I cope with all that uncertainty. Again, it's not good or bad. It is something we just need to recognize, okay, this is how I react to things and these kind of things cause me stress. Negative self-talk is a really big one. And I often use this example of someone I knew who always was saying, I'm not good enough, I don't think I can do it, I'm not sure I'd be able to. And it's almost like before you even suggest, it's already, I don't think I can do it. And I actually asked one of our psychiatric colleagues on how could I help? Because, you know, I think he's doing a great job. I think he's very capable, but whatever I bring up, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I deserve this. I don't think. And he said to me, do you know what? Why don't you just start pointing out that, you know, did you notice you just reacted this way? And halas, that's what I started doing. And you wouldn't believe it, within 2 weeks of always just pointing out, hey, did you notice you reacted this way? How about you say, I'll give it my best try. It will be okay, instead of I can't, I won't. 2 weeks and the situation had already changed to far more positive approach. Now, perfectionism is a very heavy trait in our personalities. I certainly have that trait, as unfortunately my son as well. It's great to have high standards, but when is life perfect? Never. So again, we need to recognize that, okay, I have this type of trait in my personality. I will give it my best shot, but at the same time, to avoid that constant feeling of failure, because things so rarely are perfect, we need to recognize that, okay, I did my best, but life is not perfect. If we don't recognize that, consciously think about it, we can feel as we keep failing, and it might be we've done something awesome. All or nothing attitude is also sometimes very challenging. And the final thing I'm going to refer to here is the locus of control. And that refers to our view on when things happen. If you have very internalized locus of control, you feel whatever happens, it's my fault, I've caused it, or I've made that happen, it's all because of me. If it's very externalized, it's other people, other things around us. In both ways, you know, there are benefits. They are just different characteristics. So we sometimes forget that as human beings, we are so unique. We have all these characteristics in ourselves that can cause us stress, just as they can be protecting factors against feeling stressed. So very important for us to stop and think about these things every now and then. Because as I said, the experience of stress, experience of well-being, we are so unique. And you know what? What stresses me may not stress any of you. I often use this example. I have an old car. I've been here a long time and my car is getting, I think, antique level soon. But in any case, when I got the car, and you know it needed that yearly estimata, where you have to take it somewhere and all these men have a look at it and whatnot, it literally stressed me so bad I was losing sleep over it. And I think half of the room will be laughing now. How silly was that? You know what? I have the right to feel whatever I feel. I was so worried about it. I'm not going to understand anything. They're going to laugh at me. I'm going to do something stupid. I actually got someone to do the estimata for me for a few years before I gathered my courage. Now I do it myself, I'm very proud to say. But you know, I have a right to feel stressed about it. You can't say to me, you're being silly. Because for me, those emotions were real and are real. It's okay to feel what we feel. What is important is that we recognize it. And then when we recognize, we can manage these emotions. Now, every one of us uses some sort of strategies to manage the stress, because as noted, stress is always around. There will never be a time, there's none. It is very important to stop and think about, well, what are my strategies? Recognize those, because then when you recognize it, you know what works for you. You can develop further things. Because I always say that with well-being, you've got to find your thing. Whatever works for me may not work for you. Every human being is so different that you need to explore what's good for you. So I'm just going to give all sorts of examples, and I encourage all of you to think about what is your thing. Go out there and have a look, give it a try, see what feels like something that you would like to do, and more than anything, continue to do. Because stress management is an ongoing thing. It doesn't help if you do once off something, because life happens. There's always going to be stress, and that zeroing in is so important. Now, the first thing we have to do, of course, is to do a regular self-check. I always say that this is like a little chat to ourselves. So I might sit down and say, hang on a minute, Katja, how is it that I'm doing at the moment? How am I feeling? Am I behaving in a way I normally don't? What's going on with me? Because to identify, or to manage, you first need to, of course, identify. So that's a very good starting point. I am, of course, going to recommend all sorts of stress management strategies that you use on ongoing basis. But starting point is recognizing. And then we usually come up with two groups of stressors. We have things that we can deal with. I've been meaning to call that aunt for 3 months now. Oh, I've been meaning to fix that chair for 2 weeks now. I've been meaning. Stop. Take the time and deal with those things. Halas, no more stress from them. If you do this often, 10 minutes might be enough to clear that list. If you leave it for a long time, it might take 2 hours or a day or whatever to deal with. So things that are in your control are sorted out. Halas, over and done with. No more stress from that. But then there is a second group of stressors, and those are things that no matter how much you worry about them, it's not going to change. They are completely out of your control. I often use this example. I know it's getting a bit old now because the airport has been open a long time since COVID. But during COVID, if you wanted to travel and there were no planes going, would anything change if you worry about it? Well, of course not. They couldn't put the planes up in the air just because you wanted to go somewhere. What happens is, if you keep worrying about it and not realizing, well, actually, this is completely out of my control, it's like digging a hole. The more you worry, the more stressed out you get. So it's really important to recognize these two different types of stressors. We all have these in our life. Those ones that you can deal with, sort it out. Take the whatever minutes or moments you need to clear that list. And that on its own will give you that sense of achievement, like, yes, finally I did it. But then recognize that there are things you can't control. And quite often those other people, relationships, cause all sorts of positive and stressful things. Recognize it's out of your control and then take conscious actions in managing the stress that you are feeling. Now, I want to say a few words about building resilience. We have, and when we talk about stress management, there are actions that we take to bring those stress levels down here and now. And then there's something called resilience, which is our strategies and techniques we have built over time that proactively support our well-being. And when the stress peaks, our resilience helps us to bounce back to that baseline of well-being. So just a few things in here. Understanding yourself. You know, how do I react? What kind of emotions do I have? How do I behave when I'm getting stressed? The more insight you have to that, the earlier you can intervene. If it gets to a point that someone else says to you, hang on a minute, I've noticed this or that, it means it has already built up. So the better you understand yourself, the more effectively you can manage that stress. Now, anticipation and preparation. And you know, I often talk about this example. Let's say you're about to go and have a surgery. So let's say you won't be able to walk for 1 week. Well, you are going to prepare for it, isn't it? You bring the bedroom downstairs because you know you can't take the stairs. You do your shopping to top up everything that you don't run out of food in that time. You talk to the neighbor to walk the dog next week because I won't be able to do it. So you do all these things. What about psychological things? You know, for example, that let's say you have 100 people in your team and you know in 2 weeks' time you're going to have all these different things to deal with them. You're going to be really, really pushed to get everything done. Do you prepare? Because the demand is more of our psychological one. We often forget that. If there is an, let's say, anniversary date that could be difficult, do we prepare for that to help us cope with that time? We sometimes forget about that psychological side. Now, I warmly, strongly, and wholeheartedly recommend all of us to develop and utilize strategies that help us feel in control. And I'll tell you why I really, really recommend this. When we feel stressed, as I said, we're overwhelmed, everything is a bit of a chaos, the concentration, everything's affected. Any actions that give us a sense of control help us in feeling I can get on top of this issue as well. And those type of strategies, we can develop them well before we start to feel stressed in a proactive manner, that when the time comes, that stress peaks, we have a toolkit already. Now, there's a really big recent study that states that our social networks are number one in protecting us against depression. And you know, you're feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, stressed, all sorts of things, and then the friend calls, you know what, let's go for a coffee. Oh, I'm so tired, I just got back home from work, and no, I'm just gonna be on the couch today. Know what I'm talking about? It's okay to do that every now and then. However, make sure you don't realize that shui, little by little, you've isolated yourself and not nurtured those networks. And also, if you think about the fact that a lot of people have maybe left their networks home and relocated here, make sure you take a conscious actions to build those networks. Whether it is, like for me, I've got to know loads of people through my children's hobbies, my children's school, from my work and so on. It takes a little bit of conscious action to think about that as well. And I really think that positive thinking is so important. And it doesn't mean we ignore or avoid whatever the challenges are. It means that we actively, consciously say to ourselves, it's gonna be okay. I can deal with this. If I need help, I'm gonna ask for help, but it will be okay. In other words, the opposite of what I was saying about that negative thinking. I can't cope, it's too much, I'm going to fail. Avoiding that and having that positive outlook. And you know, human brain is really funny thing. I watched an awesome video about positive psychology recently. And I think there was a really good point that the psychologist there made. So he'd been a counselor, a psychologist at Harvard Medical School, one of the toughest places to get into. And he was so proud of it. He had just started the job, and he was super busy. And he obviously saw friends outside of work, and he said, oh yeah, this is what I do at Harvard Medical School. And his friends looked at him and said, what? They got into Harvard Medical School? What on earth are they worried about? And you know, what they've meant was you should be celebrating you got in, but instead you're focusing on worrying, how well am I going to do? What's the next exam? What is going to be next? Rather than appreciating the positive aspect, the brain was taking them to the challenging aspects. I think that's a very good example that we can very easily slip into focusing on the challenges rather than appreciating what is good here and now, today, tomorrow, and so on. And that reflection is super duper important. Now, one of those things that I personally use as a strategy to enhance sense of control. And I've used this, I don't even know how long now. It comes from cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm not a therapist, I'm a nurse, but I love this thing because it really, I'm a very logical Finnish person, so this makes perfect sense to me. So I'm going to tell you briefly how this works. We all have problems in our life, don't we? Now, the important starting point is to choose one problem. If you try to choose all of them, it turns into chaos. It's too much. You can't resolve any of it because it's like a porridge with everything in there. So if you think about that previous example I gave, so the child is sick, the boss is on my case, and now the car's broken and I have no money to fix the car. So for this exercise, I'm going to use that car. I really do need to get it fixed. It's the most important thing for me because I have to carry on with the daily things that need to be done. So I've identified that problem. The other problems I'm putting in a nice basket here and not worry about them right now. Now then I start thinking about possible solutions. And I mean anything, even if it's no matter how silly it is. Oh, well, I could win the lottery. Well, not very likely. Oh, I could cut down the outgoings. Oh, I could get a new job where the salary is better. Oh, I could do this, I could do that. Really just stopping consciously to think about any and every solution I can think of. And you know why this really works for me? Let's say that I'm still thinking, okay, well, what else, what could I do to sort this out? I go and walk the dog. My brain is going crazy thinking, oh, but I could do that as well. Then I'm going to talk to a friend who says, oh, you could try this too. All of a sudden, instead of seeing all the problems, my brain's now seeing loads of different solutions that can help to reassure me. First of all, it will be okay, but also gives me that practical level on, yes, it will actually be okay. Now, out of all these solutions, then, we need to choose, okay, what is it that I'm going to try? So let's say that I've now discounted quite a few of these. Well, getting a new job takes too long. Well, I didn't have the money for that holiday anyways in the first place. Well, no, there's no lottery, can't win that. So I choose to work on my monthly outgoings And then I create a list of things. Well, what is it going to do? I'm going to buy bulk. I'm going to avoid anything that is not on offer. I'll cut down on the meat and do something else instead. I'll only do one shopping in a week to make sure I don't buy things I really don't need. I'll do a menu for the week so that I only buy things that are required. So I have now loads of very concrete actions that will, inshallah, help my budget. And of course, then I need to choose, when am I going to review this? Did it work or not? And if it didn't, I need to do more. But I hope you kind of get the gist of how this works. And to me, this is, well, for several reasons, a really, really important strategy to enhance my well-being and my sense of control. My focus is shifted from all the problems to all the solutions, that positive aspect. I can clearly see, you know, when we are stressed and overwhelmed, we feel like a ping pong ball, you know, just being thrown under all these demands. It's like, stop, no, hang on a minute, I can do all this. And then, of course, the sense of achievement when I see things getting better. So I personally really like this. Not everyone might, of course, enjoy this type of process. Now, there is a golden triangle of well-being. Number one is exercise. This is my golden triangle, by the way. The things that have by far the biggest evidence base behind them. The evidence around exercise is huge, a lot of studies. And I'll tell you a couple of things why I think it's so important. Now, when you exercise, it actively burns those stress hormones from your body. That's why you then feel more relaxed, the tension is gone. But if you exercise regularly, the studies have shown that the next time when your stress peaks, your body actually releases less stress hormones. Remember those impacts that I talked about, cardiovascular system, pancreas, immune system, everything happening. So exercise actually has a protecting factor as well. It protects, not just psychologically, but also physically. Now, when I say exercise, when we talk about well-being, it is not about performing and it's not about perfectionism. You don't have to pay 10,000 for that gym you never wanted to go to. You don't have to run a marathon because the neighbor did. You need to do things that you get a bit of a sweat, puts a smile on your face, and you enjoy doing it. That's the only way to make it sustainable, to do something that continues in future as well. I have no idea what's happening. Thank you. You know, every little help. We know the guidelines around cardiovascular health, 30 minutes, 5 times a week, moderate level activity. If you can't do that, when we think about well-being, every little helps. Anything can be a starting point. If all you can do right now is a 5-minute walk around the block before work in the morning, start with that. You know, when you're at home, you're cooking, dance away in the kitchen. I do that and my kids say, gosh, it's so embarrassing. Throw the kids around. You'll all have great fun with that. Choose something to start with. And as you start feeling the benefits, you'll get to do more and more. Number 2, and those of you who heard Ms. Iman's talk earlier, diet does have a huge impact on our well-being. Those stress hormones, that state we have when we're stressed, brings our immune system down. Any cold, any flu, anything going around, you're feeling it. Very important to have that healthy diet, boosting your immune system. And as you heard Ms. Iman say, there were many benefits around healthy diet protecting us against variety of mental health problems. The third one in that golden triangle is rest. I know we get busy, I know we do all sorts, but when we rest, that's when our body and mind charges the batteries. And I know things get hectic sometimes, we're not perfect every night. However, I'm talking about those times when you're on that couch, I'll put my hand up by the way, straight away, on that couch watching the K-drama or whatever, you're going to have an early start and you're still on that couch rather than having gone to bed. Conscious choices, that's what I'm referring to. Now, loads of other things are out there as well. Work-life balance. And my guidance always is, and what I try to do as well, when you are at work, be at work. Don't think about all that stuff going on at home. Be present at work. When you go home, be at home. Don't think about, what was happening today? What's in the diary for tomorrow? I just lost my screen, I don't know why. But that's all right, I'll look at that one. Be present in that moment. I have the kind of work that I often have to, or I am available, even out of hours. But it doesn't mean, if I'm on a work email and my daughter comes to me and there's some sort of teenage drama going on, I'll say to her, please give me 1 minute, I'll put this away. And I'm not allowed to look at my laptop or my phone while I'm with her. So yes, I know many now have jobs and demands. This connectivity is really, really keeping us in our systems, but we have to make these choices in trying to protect. In one of the sessions I did a month ago, there was somebody who said that because of all of this getting really muddled, he got 2 mobiles. One is for work, one is for personal use. And when he needs to switch off, he switches off the work mobile. So again, we have to find that balance on how do we create that space for ourselves, whilst, of course, meet those demands on us. Taking breaks, decompressing. Remember that term, zeroing in. When we are at work, and again, I put my hand up, having my sandwich on the PC or whatnot, happens to all of us, I guess. However, consciously thinking that it doesn't happen all the time. Take those 5 minutes to have a coffee and a chat with a colleague, or have a team lunch, or whatever it might be, but making sure that we are not just building on that stress. We take those moments to de-stress as well. Planning. I loved, in one of my sessions, there was this gentleman who was a manager, and he said that he started this system that, like today, he would literally write a list of, okay, all these things have to be done tomorrow. Then he would leave that to make sure he just doesn't think about it when he goes home. And in the morning, first job, let's get the team together. Who's gonna do what? And that really then helped him to achieve what needed to be achieved, whilst utilizing the team around him. But planning is really important. And one of the things that I recognize as well, the busier I get, the more stressed I get, the less focus I have. I literally have to stop and let's go to the drawing board. Can really, really help. Managing time well, very important. Sometimes we do loads of things and achieve very little. It means we are not managing our time very well. Now, meditation, yoga, mindfulness are very, very popular stress management strategies. Some people love it, some people hate it. Again, I'm going to say you need to find your thing. I encourage all of you to do a little search and just try out something like 3-minute mindfulness. It doesn't need to take a long time. See if that would work for you. Very, very popular stress management strategies. But we often talk about a term called everyday mindfulness as well. And that means that let's say you're having your shower in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, and you're like, what's in the calendar today? Oh, I'm going to be late for the school run. Oh, what's happening? This is what happens. Stop. Completely clear all of that from your mind. So you're now brushing your teeth. Did I do this one? Did I do that one? Focusing inside. What am I doing? Where am I putting my attention to? These moments, we can have as many as needed. If you pray 5 times a day, making sure that whenever you go in for that prayer, you leave consciously all the hassle and bustle outside. You purely focus on the prayer, on that connection, and you've already zeroed in 5 times. These moments we can have anywhere, anytime. It doesn't take money, it doesn't take time, it takes effort. Structures and routines. The more chaotic your working life is, for example, the more structures and routines give us that sense of comfort outside of work. Practicing letting go and not getting too hung up on whatever challenges might be going on. And I really, really encourage everyone to learn the art of appreciating those things that are good. Every day thinking about, well, hang on, what did I do really well today? What was really good today? Our minds can very easily focus on those negatives. Make a conscious action in thinking about the positives as well. Take a little bit of me time. That own space where you can do whatever it is, whether you want to put nail polish on or whether you want to watch the footy or whatever it might be. But make sure that you don't give all and forget yourself. Some people love music, reading, puzzles, painting, writing stories, whatever it might be. Again, it is anything that you enjoy, that helps you to forget the constant chaos where we live in, and hence helps you to zero in. There's a lot of other strategies as well. You can do a search on any of these. But one thing I am specifically going to recommend is deep breathing. Doesn't take time, very easy to do, and incredibly powerful. I often say to people, for example, you've had a really busy day at work. When you get to your car, before you start driving, just stop, take a few deep breaths, really focusing on that breathing. And trust me, 3 to 5 breaths and you already feel the tension leaving your body, already feel the mind clearing. Or when you get home, you're all worked up about that traffic, whatnot, doing it before you go through the front door so that you don't, the house is a mess, the kids are fighting, everything's chaos, and I blow my top. No, when I'm calm and collected, just a couple of breathing exercises can really make a world of difference. Don't forget laughter. It is so important. As the old saying says, laughter is the best medicine. I really encourage you, and you know, when you are with people you love, friends, family, and so on, always find those opportunities to laugh, because that will release the happy hormones in your body. It's not rocket science now, is it, what I talked about? Why is it that we don't do it? Just few things around our self-efficacy. Our self-efficacy is our belief on what can we do, what can we achieve. And I'll just give some examples around things that might make it difficult for us to look after ourselves. It could be that we're already feeling overwhelmed. It could be that we are scared. And the fear of failure is just as powerful as fear of success. We might fear that what if I can't do it? Then I'm going to feel even worse. It's best not to even start. Or it could be, what if I achieve what I wanted to do? What's next? Can I keep up with it? Having these kind of expectations can really, really limit us taking the challenge forward. So really just some things for us to think about. Why might it be that I struggle to look after myself? So, a few tips on helping us to tackle these barriers. Becoming aware, recognize what's going on with you, take responsibility for it. Because I always say to people, our well-being, I don't know if it's the good news or the bad news, nobody can do it for you. Nobody can go for that run on behalf of you. Someone can take your car to Estimara though, if that helps. But well-being is something you need to do and you deserve to do. Detach from unrealistic presentations. If you want to kill your motivation to do this, sure, set a goal that is way too difficult to achieve, and trust me, the motivation will definitely slow down. Life is not perfect. You are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Detach yourself from those thoughts. Shui, little things make such a difference. And it's okay to ask help from others. You know, nobody is a superhuman who can do everything. It's okay to get somebody to help us along the way. Create that vision of where is it that you want to go, where do you want to be, and that will help you staying motivated and moving forward. Setting those realistic goals, use your friends, families, colleagues, networks to support you in the process. And there are a variety of other techniques as well. But the key thing is that well-being indeed is a set of conscious actions. It doesn't just happen if you wait long enough. It is something we need to make happen. And when we think about our mental health and well-being, like I said earlier, we have a right to feel whatever it is that we feel. It's okay not to be okay, but there's a lot of things we can do to support ourselves and, of course, others around us as well. But there may be a time for people when they've tried all this stuff, it hasn't worked, or they're really worried about themselves or others. And for those times, you need to remember that there's always someone to help. And when I say about support, it doesn't mean a psychiatrist necessarily. It could be, if the worry is about your children, is there someone at school you could approach? If it's about finances, is there a financial advisor who could help? However, if need be, the National Mental Health Helpline is a very easy way to reach out for support through calling 16,000. And in this service, there's also a specific service for women, as we are, of course, all different. But it's a targeted service for female population. So in a nutshell, I wish and I hope you remember from today, some stress is actually good for us. It's important for us to recognize when stress is building up so that we can take actions to manage our own well-being. There's so many things we can do. And, you know, it's not easy to get motivated to do things. Understand some of those challenges, and then you can create an action plan to go forward, because it is indeed possible for every one of us. And if support is needed, don't hesitate to ask for it. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we can take this. Thank you very much, everyone. We can accept questions for Mrs. Katya for now. Questions are welcomed either in English or in Arabic.
Hi, thank you so much for the practical and helpful lecture today. My question is related to how I understand stress is related to trauma. So at what point does stress become a trauma? Like, for example, during childhood or even as we transition in life, how do we know that this stress we experienced affected us on a deeper level that created a trauma within us?
Thank you very much. Is this still on? Yeah? Just to check that I heard you correctly. So you were saying that how do you know that stress is normal, and when does it actually become something that we need to do something about? A concern. Well, it's normal to experience stress, for sure. If you feel I cannot cope, that is the most important indicator, isn't it? I also always say that, we all have good days and bad days. It's part of life. But if you feel consistently, and we usually think about around 2 weeks timeline, if you feel that, you're feeling sad, you can't get things done, it's affecting your well-being, please do reach out, because it may mean that there's something going on. But those day here, day there, that's usual thing. But I think the most important thing is to appreciate that it's your well-being, it's your experience, and if you feel you would benefit from help, there's no shame in asking. I definitely encourage that.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. It was very resourceful and very informative. And I would like just to ask about when people under constant source of stress. You know? Just waiting for the azan to finish, sorry. So when we are I'm quite concerned about those who suffer from an ongoing source of a stress or trauma. And then sometimes you would like them to reach out for them to be reached out for help. And specifically I'm talking about people who are coming from war zone. How best to support those people, both men, women, and especially children. Is there any services that is available to deal with it?
Thank you very much for your question. Really appreciate what you're saying. And I want to answer from two perspectives. Now, first of all, each and every one of us can be a human being to another human being in asking that "are you okay" question, showing that human interest, which is on its own very important intervention. Now, the second part of that answer is there are a lot of services available. We have some leaflets and things outside there, but I come from the mental health service at Hamad Medical Corporation. There is access to mental health support through primary health care, through the National Mental Health Helpline, which is where I work as well, and of course through the main services as well. So I'd like to say that we've done many projects around supporting this type of group that needs advanced support. Important thing is to know the pathway to how to access that support, whether you wish to do it through primary health care or HNC. We use MAAC as a preventative measure, doing events, for example, like this, education, awareness, promoting good health, in helping, hopefully empowering people to look after themselves. But for this client group that you talked about, if there are individuals you're worried about, make sure that they are encouraged and know how to reach for help. Ian, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah. Thank you, Katja.
I could tell.
Just in answer to your question as well, with the unfolding situation in Gaza, we will be expecting that people will come to Qatar. And as that situation unfolds, we'll look to react to see how we support. We did the same during the Afghan crisis when many people came through Qatar, and we set up an immediate service to support the psychological well-being and mental health of that group. So the short answer is we don't know how we will respond, but when things become clearer, there will be a response.
Thank you, Ian.
Just adding another comment, we do have a specific treatment for the trauma. We call it cognitive behavior therapy focused trauma. So this is through the psychological intervention. And of course, the medication will be the second line of treatment.
Thank you, Dr. Saska. Yes, so as Mr. Ian said there, also with the Afghan situation back then, we did coordinate a response to that, and we do that on a regular basis. But what it may look like is, of course, still pending.
Thank you, ma'am, for your useful lecture. But this is about a mother, as a mother. This is about dealing with my toddler child. Sometimes when the day is overwhelmed and overstressed, I have difficulty when to stop before reacting to my child, before scolding and screaming. I realize after I react and I regret, I need to stop before I react. I need to stop and get back to my normal before dealing with the child. I have difficulty in this phase, and I need your advice in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to just kind of briefly note that you are definitely not alone. And from thinking about what I was just talking about, us managing effectively our stress levels is a real support for that. But each individual is very unique. So let's talk about that after we finish with the big group. And happy to talk a little bit more about what's going on. Is that okay? Thank you. But it's, you know, like I was saying, if you are feeling overwhelmed and stressed, you will react much more quickly to situations, hence encouraging that stress management. But to go into more detail, let's talk about that in a minute. Yes?
There is one question here.
Hello. Yeah, actually your presentation is very good, and I really appreciate what you're talking about stress and so many things about it, good awareness. But my question is, like, if a person is going through treatment, that is going to that curve which is on the red, you know, that curve is showed, you're in the red zone and he's taking treatment, and he is encouraged to do a lot of sport and do a lot of physical exercise and things like that. Can he come to the green zone and get away with medicine? You know, sometimes are we going to take medication a lifetime? Some things, some kind of disorders, you come into the red zone. Today, lot of emphasis on exercise, as you mentioned, can bring you to the green zone. Can we get away without medication, or the lifetime?
Thank you very much for your question. I'm going to say absolutely everyone can recover. There are many unique individual circumstances, so things depend on what's best for that individual. But we know for a fact that people can and do get better. A lot of our patients do not have to take medication for life, even if they've needed it for a while. That is a reality. What is in the individual circumstances, of course some people may need long-term support, but there is a lot of people who don't need it, and we do see this all the time. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, but is it true that this exercise has been a therapy these days, or was it there from the very beginning of psychiatry?
Very much so. Dr. Saskia was just telling me that in the UK, the general practitioners now prescribe exercise as the first line of action. We know the many benefits of exercise, and hence always encouraging that. But yes, it's becoming more and more common as an approach. So it's an important part of the package. Each individual is very unique, so whatever their treatment is very unique as well, because it has to be for that person to make it work the best possible way.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for the presentation. I had a question. Does suppressing emotions leads to any kind of disease in the future or any health issues?
Suppressed emotions.
Suppressed emotions, like.
Well, that's how shall I put it? Bottling things up is not good. It is good to talk about it. When we think about suppressing emotions, I don't see anything healthy in that. I think it's so important to feel we have the right, first of all, to feel what we feel, but also to express it. And as we express it, that's when that tension, the build-up comes down. So definitely I think that if we feel, and I think Dr. Yahya earlier used the word invalidating emotions and that environment, yes, it can be harmful for us.
Like I have a situation in my life where I'm aware that my mother-in-law is creating conflicts between me and my husband. He also knows that, but he does not support me. He is with my mother-in-law. So how should I react in this situation? I tell him, and he knows who's wrong, but he does not stand up for me. So I feel I'm being wronged. So how should I deal with this? Because it's affecting me a lot.
Okay, thank you for it. And again, you know, we can talk about you after this as well. But you know, I want to say to everyone, relationships are always tricky because as human beings, we are so unique, we are so different. Two people in a room means two different personalities, two different approaches. These are such common things that, you know, there are tensions one way or another. And of course, thinking about how do you best resolve it, you need to understand these, let's say, two individuals to be able to advise on that. Positive communication, negotiation, it depends on those unique traits of that situation. I don't think there's any blanket, this works for all. However, one thing that definitely works in every situation, or we need to recognize, is the communication that takes place so that it's not just a build-up of things going all the time. But what comes to your unique things, we can have a chat about that. Thank you for the question. Yes.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for your presentation. This is a topic that we all need to talk and hear about more. And my question is, what if my stress is related to a physical place that I have to attend constantly, and there is not much room for me to change the reasons of stress in that place? What is the best way to deal with that?
Okay, and I do apologize, I have an ear infection, so I'm slightly hearing impaired, so I'm going to double check that I heard you correctly. So you're saying that if your stress, ongoing stress, is related to physical health? No?
No, a physical place that I have to attend constantly. Like a physical place.
A physical place. Sorry, there you go. Dr. Saska already checked if I have hearing aid because I keep double checking everything. If it is a specific place, a specific day, we always encourage people to recognize that. First of all, understand, okay, what is it? That's how am I feeling? What's causing it? And then working on a set of strategies on how to cope with it. We have at the helpline the brief intervention psychology, and I love those guys. They're so awesome, teaching people strategies in recognizing the thought patterns and then managing those emotions and stopping them from happening. There are loads of strategies. I'm not a therapist, so I'm not going to say too much, but I don't know if Dr. Amin wants to comment on that.
When we're talking about physical place-related issues, people tend to have multiple stress factors that's related to things that they can't change at some point. We have people now going on in war that they can't change. There is people at work. There is people that are having relationship issues that they can't change at the same time. So strategies that we learn to deal with those stressful situations can help us decrease this stress big time, okay? And or like it's always helpful to go towards positive other than going towards negative. So building up the stress will get you to a point where you will explode, and learning new strategies on how to deal with this stress will help you to release that stress, and eventually at some points maybe like you will feel that it was not related to the place that you're working in, it was just like a depression or some anxiety related to other stuff, and that would help you. So just learning new strategies through people and seeking help, as always recommended. Maybe some other guy will give you some insight towards other things. We will have 2 other questions, last questions possibly. Start.
Thank you very much, madam. Actually, you have discussed many things. All of them, I have identified one thing, that is unrealistic thoughts or thinking. Actually, I am feeling that the situation, sometimes what will happen in future, and obviously bad things. My question is, will it affect on my mental health?
Again, I'm going to have to double check. So what you're saying is, if you have unrealistic thinking, like overthinking about something, will that...
Yes, what...
It went all quiet. Did I get the hang of it?
Well, if bad things will happen in future, that thing I always worried about this thing. Will it affect on my mental health?
Is it going to affect your mental health if you keep worrying about the future?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I get there eventually. Apologies for that. Of course, if you're feeling stressed and worrying about future, you will have ongoing stress. So whether it'll turn into negative stress and have an impact on your health, it of course depends on the extent of that worrying. Now, we all worry about things sometimes, or we worry about specific events going forward and so on. That's normal fluctuation. If it is stress that really causes us to feel uncomfortable, feel fearful, feel those negative emotions, very important to learn strategies on how to manage that. And there are actually a lot of those strategies that you can do in thinking of putting those thoughts into realistic perspective and managing them. So I think the real key there is that own experience of, is it something I can cope with these thoughts coming and going? Is it constant and it's affecting my well-being? But it can be very well managed. Okay? Okay.
Okay, I just had a question. So if I feel like I'm at this point where my stress is overwhelming and I can't manage it on my own, is that a time when I would call the helpline to then talk to someone about learning these strategies to be able to learn how to cope and manage the stress to a good level?
Thank you very much for the question. I don't want anyone to struggle in silence. You don't have to wait to feel totally overwhelmed. It's okay to reach out earlier as well. The National Mental Health Helpline, the 16,000 option 4 for mental health service, we get all sorts of calls. And you know, my heart breaks when someone says, oh, I've had this for 5 years, but I've survived. And I'm thinking, gosh, 5 years of struggling. It's okay to reach out for help. We take calls that are very low level of problems, and we take calls that are very high levels of problems. It's okay to check. So I always say to people that the important thing is, how do you feel about it? If you feel you would benefit from support, no one's going to put a measuring tape on, okay, which level is your problem now? It's okay to make that phone call. And you have the right to feel whatever it is that you feel. So I encourage people to make that call earlier rather than later. And yes, there are times when I take a call and someone says, oh, I'm not sure if I should be calling. And I say, okay, let's talk about it. And when we come to the end of that call, it's like, alas, I feel so much better. I don't want anything else. That's okay as well. Great. We were able to help. Some people stay with us for few support sessions, learning techniques and strategies on how to cope with things. Some people need longer term support, more intense treatment. It's okay to pick up that phone at any point, because life is demanding enough. You know, let's reach out whenever we need to.
Thank you very much, everyone. I think this the end of the session. Please reach out if you need any help at any time. Please let your families, your friends, everyone knows about the helpline number, how you can reach out to us, and we're always here to help. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Kadja and Dr. Amin. Thank you so much. I think we all received a good reminder to look after ourselves. Yeah, this is the end of our event today. I hope that all found the event beneficial. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for Qatar National Library for their support. MAC will continue to deliver like a variety of educational and awareness events throughout the year, okay, across the country. If you would like to hear about our activities or these activities, kindly email us at mac.hamad.qa, and we are happy to help and support. Thank you all. Again, thank you all for being here today. And as always, Ms. Kadja says, happy Saturday and look after your well-being. Yes, Dr. Muhammad.
I would really like to take an opportunity to thank Hamad Hospital and all the staff members who are here, and Katya, Ian, everyone, and also like to thank all the members who are here to know more about mental well-being. Like, you know, the session, if you really wanted to talk more with Katya and all of the staff over there, there is a session that's just going on. Like, if you want to have a private discussion with them, so please do so. And also we have some books here related to yoga, mental well-being, and how to reduce stress, like from personal, professional life. So we have kept some books over here. If you wanted to check out them, please do so if you're a member at the library. And also we have some few books about Bill Gates on the book on COVID. So it's a free book. Like, if you wish to have it, please do. I'll be here and I can just issue a few copies of the books if you need it. Thank you so very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, if you want to have it, please. Yes. Want to take a picture? Yes.